Hi, it's Winton Churchill with the Barefoot Consultants, and I'd like to welcome you to our session today on the International Living website and on our Facebook page and on our YouTube channel. So, going out to lots of places today. And today we're going to be talking about the reasons that people that are 50 plus, which are not baby boomers, they're a little bit younger than the baby boomers, the first 4 years of those, and also baby boomers who are about 54 and above now should be exploring freelancing right now. It's there. There's certainly a number of things that have come together on the planet over the last few years that have really enhanced the role of freelancing. That freelancing is playing in staffing of organizations. Many organizations did not think that people could successfully work from home. They forbid remote work, and we've all had a little bit of an education over the last 2 years about how it can work. In fact, remote work, as it's been studied over the last 2 years, has proven in most cases to be much more efficient for many types of organizations than actually having everybody come into the office. And we're seeing all kinds of interesting trends about companies basing in different areas. But the three big things that I want to talk about, and I'm going to hit on all three right now, and then talk about those as we go through the session. And yes, Robert, thank you. I don't know. I've been helping people freelance for 14 years now, and I have been freelancing myself since 2007. So I hope that that helps, and we're all learning every day. So thanks for that. So never there has never been more demand for freelancing. And this is well documented in the pages of many business websites like Forbes and Inc. magazine and that kind of thing. It's just very much a part of our economy in a way that it wasn't 2 years ago. So we're seeing lots of that. The second thing is that the hiring managers now hiring freelancers have never been more open, and so that's something to know as well. And hi, Julie, thanks for the heart. Always appreciate the hearts. And then the freelancer has never been needed more, especially the more mature freelancer, because they get the big picture about what's going on in the workforce, in projects, that kind of thing. When I interview freelancers, they tell freelance buyers, they tell me that people, just don't understand how freelancing fits into a project or that kind of thing. They look at the job they're doing as just one job. They don't get the big picture. And good to see you, Sean. Thanks for stopping by. And Julie brings up an amazing point, a very insightful point. She never realized how much time she used to spend helping coworkers and what a huge distraction that was. You know, a lot of the training that went on in major organizations was friends helping friends in the office. And especially, I remember when computers first came into the office. I remember a time I was actually working for Apple when most people working in a company did not have a computer of any kind, and maybe one or two out of 100 had a computer, and these were the early days of Apple and Apple moving into business. And so that would be kind of a watershed time in terms of people beginning to use computing. And now we use it all the time. And I think that freelancing is very much in that same state right now. Is a lot of companies have not used freelancers before. A lot of them were forced by circumstance to use them over the last 2 years. And now, as things are opening up and vaccine mandates are dropping and mask wearing is on the wane and that kind of thing, that we're going to see more of that kind of thing in the marketplace as companies go forward and they staff up, they reconstitute their business differently than it was before because of the last 2 years. They will have quite a mix of both employees and freelancers. And what that does is it gives them lots of staffing flexibility. And I know on the sites that we teach about and go on to that there are a certain uh, uh, number of assignments typically on there at a given time. And from time to time, when I'm presenting in workshops and that sort of thing, I'll go on and say, just out of curiosity, how many jobs are on that system. And the systems that I'm looking at today, the same ones, tend to have double to triple the number of jobs and assignments that they had on there. Now, those assignments could be little things from proofread a couple pages to edit an entire book, or it could be something that is a help with customer service, write an FAQ page, a frequently asked questions page. And of course, when you get these assignments, your client wants you to, they either give you the information so you can put it together, they just haven't put it together in a format and edit it in a way that they would like to represent themselves on their website. They just want you to put simple things together. And that's where we are right now. And understand what's going on with their organization in general. The hardest part about freelancing online today is being a remote worker. And one freelance buyer was telling me the challenge of hiring people in their 20s now, and even some in their early 30s, is a lot of them have already been working remotely, and so they don't understand how things work in organizations, how projects are managed over time, how marketing launches are done over time, how customer service is provided over time. And so they haven't had the sort of the good fortune of seeing how it's done the old way. And that's been a very big attraction to older freelancers. They have that experience. They know how the pieces of work that they're doing for one freelance buyer really fit in terms of what the other freelancers may understand. And good to see you, Veronica and Sean. Welcome back. Thanks for stopping by. So today we're talking about the reasons that baby boomers should be exploring freelancing now, before the last 2 years sort of got started with the lockdowns. I would hear people that would say, well, I bought your program a few years ago and I got started on it, and then I got distracted. I got a new assignment at work and I didn't really get back to it, but it's definitely my plan B. And certainly after the lockdown started, a lot of people that I talked to said, boy, I wish I would have started a little bit earlier on this. The good news is there's this phrase, or that a rising tide floats all boats. And that's really what we have seen over the last 2 years, is this rising tide bringing uh, freelance work and remote work up in tremendous amounts, so that many different people can experience it. Many different organizations can benefit from it, and have realized that. And organizations that never would have tried this before are now have been able to try it. And a few rough spots as they got started. Most companies, when they decide to bring in freelancers, they do some preparation. They bring in a small number of freelancers, and then they bring in a larger number of freelancers and that kind of thing. But they don't they don't have to do it all at once, as we kind of all had to start doing that back in the middle of March in 2020, where everybody was doing it all at once. and that there were some rough spots. People didn't know how to work remotely, how to integrate this stuff into what they're doing. They were just out there making it up as they go along. But what has happened over the recent years is companies have gotten much more efficient at understanding how to use and coordinate their teams of freelancers around the world. And that's one thing that many people don't realize, is that this is an around the world kind of a thing. You're not working, if you're doing what we're teaching, you're not working in local networks in your local community or that kind of thing. You're working on assignments that could come from anywhere around the world. And one of the things that we have coming up in conjunction with International Living is a conference in St. Louis, and it's really more of a workshop than a conference. This is where we take somebody who has a desire to be a freelancer, helps them put all their materials together. You put together a profile, which is kind of like a resume, but very different, and then teach you how to find the jobs that are most valuable to you, that are at the intersection of the things you like to do and the things that you know a lot about. That's how you make the most money on these networks. And then take you through the process of where do you find those, what networks do you work on, how do you propose to do the job, what are the bidding strategies for getting those jobs, how do you encourage repeat business with your clients. And we're going to be doing all that. If you can, the link is just populating now, in St. Louis at the end of April, April 23rd or 22nd will be when we start. And so, this was a workshop that I kind of built for people like me. I know that when I want to really commit to something and learn it, it always helps if I move my physical body to something I can get into and participate in this. And the interesting thing about this particular event, and we were running these kind of events typically once a year prior to the lockdown, is the energy from people that want to pursue this. You get to hear what other people are pursuing, what skills they're taking, how they're applying those skills. We do a lot of Q&A during the event. The last one we did, we pass around 3x5 cards, and people have a little stack of those at their desk. And anytime they have a question, they write down the question and they run it up to myself or one of my master trainers, and we answer that question as quickly as we can. We won't interrupt a presentation, but right at the end of the presentation, we get those questions answered, and that's always a great moment. We have a lot of people, thankfully, that tell us how much they learned and how they have a better idea of the whole picture. Plus, they have their profile is ready to go. They have their list of keywords for job searches and that kind of thing. All the things that tell them how to take the hundreds of thousands of available assignments on these networks every day and boil those down to the half dozen to a couple dozen assignments that are right at that intersection of what they like to do, what their skill set is, and the things they know. And that's the key to working successfully on these networks, because you can't really jump into a network and tackle all 300,000 assignments. You have to have some way to filter those down to a dozen or 2 dozen that are keyed up directly to you. So that would be a thing to take forward. People that have been through our programs say that has been the most valuable piece for them, is understanding how to match their skill set and the things they know with that. So, just of anybody on the line, is anybody freelancing now? Just pop a yes or a no or in the chat window there. Just curious about where you are in your process. I know from having worked with international living now for 14 years that a lot of people look at some of the different things that we offer, and sometimes they aren't ready to make the move. Uh, and then as time goes on, they get more and more interested in it. And I'd just like to get a sense of where you are along that trail. So if you could just type that in the chat window, that would be very helpful. What we find is um, baby boomers have lots of skills that they don't recognize. They tend to think of their occupation. And one of the things we'll be doing in St. Louis is helping you break your occupation down into its component parts. And we have lots of great examples of that, of people that have just done that exact same kind of thing. For an example, a dentist who says, I can't practice dentistry when I move to Costa Rica. How do I do this? And it's all about understanding what we call domains of knowledge. At some level, a dentist a lot works with their hands if they have a dental practice. But even if they don't have a dental practice, they have lots of knowledge of health, dentistry, running a business, because the dentist office is a business. There's dentists on these networks that are looking for advice about how to run their dental practice, what equipment to buy, what courses to take, what certifications to get. And there's a whole advice section in most online networks where you can take your lessons learned in your occupation and sort of hang up your shingle and share that information with people who are looking for that in their career. So just to recap, we want to uh, recognize that there has never been more demand. There is a shift, and I talk to some people every day, usually in virtual trainings, and some people just don't understand this. They think that we're going back to a normal, and what I feel like is that we're not going back to what we considered normal before March of 2020. We will go back to an accelerated, more flexible staffing programs that tap into freelancers and help make uh, uh, companies more effective. And somebody asked me recently, well, how does bringing on a freelancer? Isn't that just kind of a form of an employee? And no, the idea is that your employees are the people that are there year in and year out typically. I mean, certainly people change jobs and that kind of thing, but they're in there year in and year out. And the the freelancers are the ones that come in to meet peak demands. Many businesses have a seasonality to them and they need extra people. They might need extra accounting help. They might need extra proofreading help. They might need extra customer service help. They might need advice on how to launch a product, or advice on how to reconfigure their public spaces if they're a retail business to comply with the as yet undetermined health requirements that come out from city, state, uh, and national government. So all this stuff that was kind of buried in most organizations, written somewhere in the policy manual or the training manual or that kind of thing, everything all at once for every business, every nonprofit, every government agency, they need to pull out and make that uh, take a fresh look at that and understand how the business is going to change and meet those new compliance rules. So people that are able to write procedures or just talk through processes with people that have a familiarity with an industry or a familiarity with the job at hand are much in demand for that kind of advice. So, never been more demand for freelancers, never been more of an open mind on the part of people that buy freelancing services, and never been a greater need for experience, wisdom, common sense, these things that 50 plus and baby boomers tend to have because they've been working for decades in organizations and cooperating with teams, and they understand the importance of meeting deadlines, the importance of turning in complete work, and that kind of thing. And these are all the things that when I interview freelance buyers, they say are very helpful to them. So that's pretty much what I wanted to cover today. I'm going to put that link in because I can see that a number of people have joined us since we started, and so that'll refresh that link. And look forward to seeing you next week. So have a great weekend coming up, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon. Take care.